Under normal circumstances, before COVID, it's about 10-15% of our sales.
Right.
And our business model is not built for 50% delivery.
Yeah.
Our rental has still been the same. The amount of people that we need is still the same.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All our fixed costs are still the same. So that becomes a very painful reality for us. And of course, November, December, the cost of goods has been increasing tremendously.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Last time, once a month, our suppliers will always email us. Here's one pager of 10, 20 items that has a slight increase in price, maybe 2-3%. In November, we were receiving memos every week
Of the changes.
And one of the memo, the craziest one was, expect the prices in the next few months to go up between 20% to 200%. We're like, what the
What
F?
was the 200% item?
We don't use it. It's not part of our menu. But that was the memo. It said expect there to be such a hike. And in fact, even till yesterday, when I was talking to our chicken supplier, things are not going to get better anytime soon. In fact, I told you guys just now, there are reports of even the KFC downstairs in Atria here, where they had no chicken to sell. They ran out of chicken. KFC
you know that,
ran
John?
out of chicken.
Oh my God.
Before we begin the podcast, have you gotten your free ebook? It's called the Build a Six-Figure Portfolio Guidebook. Now, inside it, we share with you the tips and tricks to bring your stock investing skills to the next level. The best part, it's only 10 pages long and it's totally free. Whether you're on Spotify or YouTube, the link to download is in the description, or you can go to www.firl.co/FREE or www.firl.co/free. Welcome back to the FIRL podcast, best place for long-term stock investors. But today, we're going to talk about a different kind of stock. And, not different kind of stock. We're going to different industry, but very, very dear to Malaysians, especially in the past 10 years now, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
We're hitting a 10-year mark.
We have the co-founder of BurgerLab. Usually our guests, right, have very long CVs. This one very short, but it's not any worse, right? It's the co-founder, one of the co-founders of BurgerLab, Mr. Ren Yi. Welcome to the pod.
Hey, glad to be here, MJ.
I'll share why BurgerLab story is so dear to myself, because I see so many similarities for my family's history as well. But let's not start with my history. Let's start with yours, right?
Okay.
I want to learn about the pre-BurgerLab days, right?
Okay.
What was your relationship like with food, number one, and also business, right? Do you have an inclination for business? Was that always in the pipeline?
Okay, let's talk about on the personal side. I think I started realizing that food has this amazing ability to change people's happiness almost instantaneously when I started working part-time during my uni days. So I started working in Starbucks. That was my first F&B experience. And then after that, while I was in uni, I went on this work and travel program to the States, where I was working as a server in a restaurant based in Yellowstone National Park. That was my first experience of what good service means in terms of converting it into dollars and cents. Because obviously in the States, they have this tipping system.
Correct.
And base level, you get 10%. If the better the service you give, it can go up to even 30, 50%. And I mean, I didn't do it for the money. I genuinely wanted to serve people. And that was when I realized, hey, look, the way the Americans did it was the happier they will tip more. But my derivation was that, wait a minute, I found so much happiness and so much joy in making their night be a night worth remembering, right? So even back in the days when I was working in Starbucks back here in Malaysia, when I make a good cup of coffee, the customers are usually quite elated. And I was one of the first few baristas that did latte art. Back in the days, this is like 15 years ago, right?
Okay.
And Starbucks didn't even allow for latte art, and I always get reprimanded for it. This is not how we
Really?
do it. So you pour the espresso into the milk, and then the dollop of foam on top. That's it. Don't do any fancy art. But I learned about latte art, through internet and whatnot, and I started serving to some of my regulars and pretty girls as well, and especially pretty girls, like a nice little double heart, right? But that was when I realized, hey, look, my occupation as a server, as a barista, as a waiter, had the power to instantaneously make someone happy. And if I have to correlate this to back when I was younger, and you know how when you're younger, you have to write karangan of who do I want to grow up to be, right? And everyone will be like, I want an astronaut, I want to be a scientist, doctor, and so forth. I wrote those karangan, all lies. The true occupation that I wanted to grow up to be was to be a clown, actually.
No way.
Yeah, well, not a murderous clown, but a clown that was, making balloon art and that kind of stuff.
Right. Pigeons.
And I didn't know why at the time. I knew I wanted to be a clown. But what I realized was that as a kid, my easiest understanding of how to bring people happiness was in the form of a clown. Right. But of course, as I grew up, I understand that, different industries, different services that we provide to other people, we do bring joy to each other in our daily lives. But fundamentally for me, food was something that I related to very well, and I could see its power. Like, we are all Malaysians, we all love to eat, right? When you have a bad day, what do? Let's go out and eat something. Yeah, let's
binge,
go out.
right?
Yeah, just binge.
Yeah.
A very unhealthy lifestyle, but we do that, right? We go eat our favorite food, we make ourselves happy for a while, forget about the problems we have. And I said, look, this is an industry that I think I can do well in. And that's how I ended up in F&B. Right.
I just want to say that I go to Burger Lab whether I'm in a good or bad mood.
Oh no, for sure. Prior to Burger Lab, after I graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering, I started a t-shirt company that focuses on ultimate frisbee jerseys only. I play ultimate frisbee. I used to. I used to play it competitively. Now more casually. But the point is that was my first foray into running a business.
I see.
I made decent money here and there, but it was not my true passion. I basically stole design from somebody else and then stick it on a t-shirt and then sold it to the people here.
But hold on, before that, how did you go from, I want to be a clown and then now I'm an engineer?
Oh, wow.
Very different, right?
The clown part was, like I said, when you're 8 years old, right? You don't really think about it. But throughout my years growing up, whether in high school or in college, I've always been groomed towards, hey, you're good at math, do physics,
Okay.
So I lean towards the direction of engineering.
Right.
Not knowing whether it was something that made me happy, but it was something that my parents wanted me to do. I felt comfortable doing it. I leaned towards that. But thankfully, like I said, I had the experience of being able to travel overseas and being able to see what appreciation for our line of work is like. That made me commit to the idea that, hey, what, maybe F&B is not that bad, because I've been growing up in Malaysia where I've been told you do hospitality, you go into F&B when you can't do science, you can't do business.
Oh yeah.
It's
like the art stream treatment, right?
Exactly. It's very stereotypical. I don't think it's the right mindset to have, because at the end of the day, you earn so much money, you want to go out and eat good food. You expect people to serve you to have some level of professionalism too, right?
Yeah.
If you think that so lowly of them, and you still want good service, you still want good food, that doesn't add up.
Correct.
Right? It should be fair treatment on both sides. Anyway, after I graduated, I had the t-shirt company thing because I played Frisbee. And then after that, I also saw opportunity of starting a Groupon-like company. So when I was in the States, I saw Groupon kind of boomed. And I said, hey, in Malaysia, there's no such business there. And I enjoyed using Groupon at that time when I was in the States. And I started this copycat concept with my friends. However, we weren't the only one with this idea. The moment we launched, 7 other platforms launched. Back in the days, it was Groups More. I think the more popular one, there was Daily Deals. It's just different platforms that came out. And we underestimated the market. We thought we could slowly grow this. We put in 6,000 ringgit just to start the business. When left, right, center, everyone was offering free iPhones, free iPads, right? Just to get the subscribers to come in, right? To use their deals. So immediately within 3 months, that business shut down.
Ooh.
Yeah, we were like, we got outplayed. But it was a very humbling experience. And then for my third try, I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life. Do I want to go back? Do I want to go into engineering?
Yeah.
Right? That's what I studied for, right? I thought, let's give it one last shot. I believe that there is a market for burgers because we've seen, again, taking inspiration from the West, In and Out and Shake Shack doing so
Yes.
well. And we said, look, in Malaysia, what do we have? We have our Ramly, we have our fast food from McDonald's to Carl's Jr., and then we have our TGIF or Chili's. And then after that is fine dining style
Correct, correct.
burgers. We said,
Gourmet burgers,
Gourmet
right?
burgers. We said, there's no in between. Can we do gourmet but price it in the fast food range? And this is back in the days, right? So yeah, that's exactly what we ventured into. And I think we were lucky that, we were lucky that our buns, we decided to turn it into a charcoal color.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And that was, I think, the move that kind of got us spotted. And thankfully, the recipes were decent, and
Right.
people haven't had that style of burgers before, and that's how we blew up. And and as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah, and I think before I'll allow John to ask his questions before we move on, I just want to share why it's dear to my heart, because you use the exact word, right? Affordable gourmet burgers essentially is what you're doing. Because for my family background, my aunties and uncles, they used to work at this cake house. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Angel Cake House.
Yes, very popular.
Back in the day. Now they're basically not quite around. And so they were the first one that brought in like Black Forest and tiramisu. Today, tiramisu is like nothing.
It's everywhere, yeah.
Now we have to put it in our coffee to make it nicer or something, But so they actually did that and brought all this in the 80s, I think, into the wider public. So that's why I say it's dear to my heart, because this is exactly what BurgerLab did for burgers.
I appreciate that comparison.
Yeah. So and thank you for that. So John, any questions before we move on?
Probably just peeling back a little bit about that service-based industry in the US versus that of Malaysia. We're a country of very friendly people, but then in terms of standards of service and everything, I think there is still, I would say, room for improvement. And I guess probably I will ask this further along the line when we talk about your business, but is there something that you feel there are certain traits that is easily assimilated or emulated in the Asian culture as compared to the food service industry in the US actually?
I think that we are a generally very shy group of people. We do want to be nice to people. We do want to give good service, at least in our industry. And that's what I see a lot of new joiners in our industry look like. They know what to do. They know what to say, but they don't dare do it. They don't dare say it. So there needs to be a little bit of egging on when it comes to that. Where else in the Western country, if let's say you enter a lift or you walk past someone in the park, good day, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's a casual, and most of the time I learned the hard way that they don't care about what your reply is.
Yeah, actually.
But here in Malaysia, if you walk into a lift, right, for example, if you see your neighbor, most of the time people stay silent.
And then
Yeah,
if
that's
they
right.
ask, is like
That's right.
weird, like,
Yeah.
what do you want from me? Right?
But I'm kind of stuck in between. I just experienced this recently. I went to my elevator and someone said hi to me, and immediately I was like, oh, hi, good morning to you too. Right? And he was surprised that someone actually replied. I bet he does it all the time. When I first moved into the apartment, I tried doing that and I didn't get any response back. I was like, yeah, I'm the weirdo now. So I'm just going to keep quiet from now on.
Right. I totally get it.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
nature of the people
Yeah.
where we're not usually used to people or strangers talking to us immediately. So even if you go in a cafe, especially if you see there's a new group of staff, they usually won't be the first to initiate conversation. But those that have been around, they are usually more comfortable. But it takes training. It takes
It does.
getting comfortable to that.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's quite
yeah.
interesting. In Malaysia, you have we either have they don't say anything or they're like shouting across that, hey, Mr. Chan, how are you?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a whole spectrum, right?
Oh yeah. So I want to understand a little bit about the early days. So this is 2012, right?
Yes.
I still remember. I can remember the date. It's 2012, the year, because that's when I first got into college. So I always remember because there's this new hip place that everybody has to go. And I remember the Sea Park branch is always packed. 5 o'clock is already, packed already.
Yep.
And what was the early days like? Because, I can imagine starting not just a business, but such quite a new idea at that point in time. And also in an industry that it's so competitive, right? In Malaysia, you only have, your menu can be like 20 items long. And if a Malaysian comes in and he tries 2 items and it's not nice, he say the whole thing is not nice, right? That's how picky we are. So what were the early days like?
I think I have to accredit our success in the early days to pure dumb luck. If you think about it, one of the advice that we were given before we opened the restaurant even was that, hey, look, if you're going to spend 200K opening this restaurant, from the build to the renovation to the equipments and whatnot, you need another 200K in your bank at least to have a runway, because no business is going to start off being successful, and you need a potential of 3 months, 6 months, or even 1 year to even start even breaking even, right? And that was the reality that we were given. But given the naivete state of mind that we were in, we were like, 200K, we just need to put another 50K so we can run. Okay. And that was it, right? So we among ourselves and some friends that was involved in the process at that point, we raised 250K. We spent almost 200K on the build of the restaurant, and we made a lot of mistakes doing it. And we kind of just fingers crossed and hope for the best. And prior to our launch, the most burger we've ever cooked in the night during our testing was 25 burgers.
Whoa.
Right? And we were naive enough to say that back in the days, do you remember, we only opened at 5 o'clock and then we'll sell at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
Yeah, that's why 5 o'clock the line is so packed, right?
Right. Now, before we started, right, we were saying, okay, we got to open all day, right? We're renting this place, it has to be open all day.
Yeah.
But we were like, okay, first week we chill a bit, we do at night first. In the morning, we bake the buns, we grind the meat, we pack the meat, all those things, we prepare the sauces, right? So that was the idea. And we said, one night we sell 100 burgers, okay lah, then slowly we increase. But because we did something called a lean startup model prior to this, and we popped up at different location at a location to just test out the concept, people were already talking about us, right? This black charcoal burger place, and we took a 3 months break to build our new location in Sea Park. But that 3 months didn't deter people from following us and trying to keep up to date of when we are opening. We underestimated that. So when we opened, we were already packed on the first day. We prepared 100 burgers, hoping to sell 50. And the next day, we can roll over and we chill a bit on the preparation. But first night, sold out. Second night, sold out. And we're like, say law.
Not enough burgers, right?
Not enough burgers, right? And which business open at 5 o'clock and sell at 7:30? Right? So we knew there was something wrong, and we were like, okay, we gotta really kick ourselves into high gear and start addressing that problem, because we said at the time we didn't have any other business model that we could replicate or reference to, right? Of going viral. I think nowadays it's quite common, and you can see what mistakes are made and what to do, what not to do. So back then we were just trying to figure things out one day at a time. So in fact, we tried to push ourselves so hard. And just now before the show, I talked to you about when you grind meat, it generates heat, it generates friction, and your meat actually cooks while it's being grounded. We learned that lesson the hard way on the 4th or 5th day. We said, okay, every night 100 burgers, we sell out within 7:30. We tell people we close at 10 o'clock, but we sell at 7:30. How can, right? And we said, let's do the double amount. Let's just buy more beef, grind it, make more, we hustle lah. Then what happened was a very humiliating and humbling experience. The beef that day tasted different. It was cooking in the grinder. It was warming up. It was getting mushy. I didn't know. All we knew was we just want to grind all the meat, pack it into patties, and then cook it. But the moment I smashed the patty, I realized that wait, the texture is off. Something's off. So I taste one myself and go like, man, this tastes bad.
Ooh.
This tastes bad, because once it's heated up, of course it doesn't get frozen immediately because we were grinding so much, right? It was left out in room temperature. Within that 1 hour of it sitting out, it has gone bad. I didn't know that. So while we were serving our 10th or 11th burger, I tasted it because I sensed that there was something wrong. And I pulled a Gordon Ramsay.
Ooh.
So I used to watch Kitchen Nightmares a lot. So I don't have culinary training, I don't have kitchen training, but I watch a lot of Kitchen Nightmares. And I know that, if Gordon Ramsay was there, he's going to shut down the kitchen. And that's what I said. I said, guys, it's 5:15 right now, right? I'm shutting down the kitchen. Tell every customer we're not serving today.
So for reference, right? Because I know you have, correct me if I'm wrong, you have other partners as well.
Yes.
So you were manning the kitchen, am I right?
Oh, me and Changming were manning the kitchen
Okay,
at that point.
okay.
And then Wicket was manning the front of house.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were like, hey, cannot man, just serve all today lah. And then tomorrow we rectify the mistake. But I was like, cannot. I don't think this is safe to serve. So I pulled a Gordon Ramsay. It was at that point in time for us, I think almost 1,000 plus ringgit in costs that we had to burn. And we said, look, if we accept this, if we accept selling this batch, then we're gonna set the benchmark at this level.
The branding, yeah.
Yeah, and I cannot put myself through the thought of potentially people getting stomach ache or having food poisoning, from our food. So I think that was the point where we told ourselves that we are food people, that we realized we are food people, that we don't there's a benchmark that we cannot go below. And yeah, the team was shocked, right? We sat down, we talked about what went wrong. We all tasted the beef after that. We were like, yeah, thankfully we didn't serve this. But in the moment of pressure,
of course.
there's 1,000 ringgit worth of food here that I'm going to throw away. I'm choosing to throw away. And I'm going to be rejecting almost 100 customers that day, right? So I think that was when we kind of saw ourselves as, you know what, we believe in standard, we believe in quality. Because we passed that test. Because I've seen businesses where they are faced with those challenges, and every F&B at some point in their journey will face a challenge.
For sure.
And it's whether they pass the test of you can in Chinese it's called 过得去自己, meaning you can pass that test of yourself. That you go like, you know what, serve only lah. I'll deal with it tomorrow.
And do you think you're lucky that you got that test on day 5 or day 6, right?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I think the more mistakes we made earlier on, the more it served us better.
Yeah.
Because every day we were improving. We sat down for 2 hours after shift every night to talk about every little improvement that we can make. And that's what made us FIRL, right? It was a spirit of experimentation. It was the spirit of getting things right. Everything had to have a scientific reasoning behind it, or logical reasoning behind it for us to move forward. Yeah.
So I like to be more, and I know John has a few questions, but I just have follow up to that event. So what do you do with the first 10 to 11 burgers that you already served? And then what was it like telling all the clients, the hundreds of them that you had to say, yeah, guys, sorry, something happened. We gotta stop.
I think you can even search back to our Facebook. And I don't know how you're going to do it.
All the way lah.
All the way lah.
All the way.
We made a lot of announcements during that period. And we were actually advised by some social media guru at that point in time that, you shouldn't do this. And we were very non-conventional when it comes to our social media marketing on Facebook. We behaved as if we were a person. We didn't talk as if we were a business. It was always a person that you're talking to.
Yeah.
We had almost every week, we were very transparent about what we were doing, what problems we were facing. Even to this day, I believe in the last 2 years, we have been very vocal about a lot of the challenges we're facing.
Yes.
Not just as FIRL, but as a F&B representative.
And you're calling out some of the some of the government, right? If I'm not mistaken, there was one
different, for whether it's the government SOP, whether it is with our delivery partners, whether it is just the situation of things, because FIRL commands a certain amount of audience.
Yeah.
And we realized that not everyone dares to use their platform as a place to share knowledge.
It's risky, right?
It is risky. It is risky, but it has always been in our DNA. From day one, again, if you scroll back, we've been sharing openly. Whether we change tomato, we change whatever, we share with the people. Reason, we are FIRL. Everyone that says FIRL, they have a sense of belonging. And we want to be that transparent business. Yeah, served us well. It has also bit us in the ass before. But I think it's never perfect, right? But that's the price you pay, with honesty, with transparency.
Yeah.
We've learned what to share, what not to share as much.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, actually a few questions, but I'll start off with the one about, I'm pretty sure there were internal debates, like what you said, in a moment of pressure, and then your partner was to say, hey, just serve it and all that kind of thing. How did you command that kind of trust and everything? Because you were the guy engineering the food. I'm pretty sure some of your partners were not as, did not have the eye that you said just now, you squashed the patty, and then straight away you knew it was off. But then you had I'm pretty sure there were pressures from your partner to say, hey, it's okay, it looks okay. You know, how did you actually, in a way, you know, Jeff Bezos used to say this. He says, I disagree with you, but let's go with this first, you know. So how did you develop that? That's the first. The second one was, you said that you had 2 hours every day after shift, and you actually documented, you know, I believe you documented a lot of these learnings. And how many times after documenting it, because I'm pretty sure once you document, the implementation is not going to be immediate. You know, sometimes you're lucky, you get it immediate, but sometimes it takes like 2, 3, 4 times or 5 times before you really get the formula. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that actually?
All right. Let's answer your first question first, which was how do we resolve, partners' disagreement? Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, at that point, especially in the moment of, I
don't remember much about it. I knew that I was very angry at myself for allowing that to have happened. And I think they could have told from my body reaction or the way I said that, you know what, we're closing down this kitchen, we cannot serve this. And they trusted me. I think I'm very thankful to have trusting. Was there like a question to say, hey, are you sure cannot serve? There were, but it wasn't a fight. It wasn't a, hey, look, I think you should serve this, you know, and whatnot. It was a, hey, are you sure we want to throw this away? Are you sure we want to burn 1,000 ringgit? So I said, guys, really, we cannot do this. Right? And I think that was, okay, we trust you. What next? Right. And the thing is, between the three of us, I've always been the most hard-headed one, I have to say. So my partners have been very understanding, but they know what I stand for. And I think that trust in what I stand for makes a whole lot of difference, at least in the early days.
I see. Yeah. The second part with regards to the SOP and you document, how many times normally if there's a process change, there was a mistake, how many times you have to try it out or get the people to try it out before you actually get a process improvement?
In the early days, it's almost immediate. The next day, we can make those improvements, right? Almost immediate, because we were making fundamental business mistakes that we could just the next day go out there, buy the right equipment or buy the right tool and solve it. Those were fundamental mistakes. But to this date, every single store still stays back, not for 2 hours, for a good 15, 20 minutes, just to have a debrief. It still happens. It's still a part of our tradition. And why that happens is because we realize that if you just close shop and go home without saying anything, sometimes there are unresolved problems that is not addressed. So we always air out our dirty laundry, because when you're running the shift, it's stressful. A lot of things can go on. Sometimes, hey, I need the fries now, for example. From the guy who's hearing it, why are you shouting at me? Right? And then he carries that like anger, right? But at the end of the shift, he say, hey, look, anyone here has anything to voice out? Anyone that feels like, you know, the shift didn't went well or that they were not treated, you know, fairly, voice it out, right? Or rest your peace lah. And then we try to resolve those matters. Or, hey, what happened here today? The customer complained. Why was the fries over salted? What happened? Right? So these are things that we discuss about and then we analyze. So we pass this baton down to the team. But of course, we are 10 years in. All the small mistakes are not there anymore. All the big mistakes are not there anymore. These are all the small individual daily mistakes that the team is allowed to fix and tweak as we go. But over the years of the last 10 years, we still do daily breakdowns of whether there are major mistakes that are made. We still do the analysis. We still do the, hey, look, how can we improve? In fact, in our 4th or 5th year in, there was a large group of people who left us suddenly. It was managers that left us, not together, but in stages. Because, and when we did the exit interview, this business, every month got changes. Every month changed new SOP. And I thought about it. I was like, is that a problem? And I stood my grounds and say, I don't think so. I know from on the ground, as the crew, as the managers, everyone have to change SOP, have to reteach and relearn. It's very frustrating. I see their pain point. But I, as a business, I felt that it was necessary. If we don't, it sticks with us, it becomes a bigger problem down the road. So I rather fix the problem. Now, why I felt this was good, because COVID, when it hit, it showed us that mentality served us well during a lockdown period where things were constantly changing.
You needed to be agile already.
We
You
were
cannot,
so
like,
agile,
Yeah.
and we were able to switch so quickly. That's why within the first 2 months, while we were not doing well, but by the third, fourth month, we were able to break even to some extent. Right? So it's because we made changes. The government say 8 o'clock have to close shop. And as in, you have to leave the shop by 8 o'clock. There was one point that there was a ridiculous SOP.
Yeah.
And your last order should be 7 o'clock. And we were like, wait a minute, everyone eats at 7 o'clock. Right?
Yeah.
So we lost a whole bunch of sales there. Within a week, we came out with a recipe, we did breakfast instead. We had pancakes, we had breakfast burgers and the likes of that. Right? So we were able to react and whatnot, because whoever that stayed after that and the new people that came after that, the first thing we told them is there's going to be a lot of changes in SOP. Expect every SOP change every few months.
So it was a personnel issue rather than a policy issue, would you say that?
I think yes and no. I think if we change things for the sake of changing,
Yes,
without hard facts and reasons, and when you change, it doesn't get better but gets worse. I guess the frustration is valid, right? But like I said, making them understand why we change. So it was a matter of communication. If you join us, there's going to be a lot of changes. Why? The changes are for the better, and you can be a part of that discussion of change as well.
Yeah.
Right? We will go through you if you feel that, hey, look, okay, that makes sense. So one thing that we realized as well was that we weren't communicating as well in the early days. We would, the higher management would be discuss, and then, hey, I'm changing this tomorrow. And you go like, what the hell? Right? Versus right now, it's like, okay, we think this is a good idea. Hey, manager, what do you think about this change?
Will this work?
Will this work? Or this will help you do this and this. All right? And that became so we became better communicators. So yeah, to answer your question, in the early days, it is still something that we do every day. But over the years, it's made us more agile and we're able to pivot depending on the challenges we face.
So I have to ask, right, in terms of the SOP, like what is like a typical, because you say you change SOP every month, right? So what is a typical SOP change in a month? I'm not referring to like the changes you made in COVID, obviously, because that's a drastic one. But just, normal pre-COVID or even right now when, COVID is kind of disappearing. What does it look like actually? What is a typical SOP change?
Currently, we don't have too many. The most recent one is we changed our beef patties, but that one, not a significant change. In a sense where it's still cooking a patty. It's just in fact, why we changed is because we believe that this is easier and less stressful method of cooking the beef. Last time, the beef is par frozen and you got to smash it with your wrist. And we started having a lot of staff having wrist injury. So we decided, you know what? We're just going to make patties. We don't do smash patty anymore. Excuse me. So these changes are also not just in mind of serving better products. Sometimes there are changes based on, the welfare of the team. So yeah, these are some of the changes that we've made recently. Back in the days, big changes. I can't think of any right now. But like I said, it was in the first couple of years, the first early 4 or 5 years, that major changes were in place. Currently, it's more minor changes. And in fact, for the first time since last year, we started hiring more senior management to come in. Prior to this, everyone in FIRL started working from the ground up.
Intern, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
and they grew to middle high or high management level. But I realized that we're hitting a ceiling. We don't have enough exposure, so we're bringing new people in, new HR, new ops, new marketing people coming in, and they are putting in new structures into the business. So those are changes that is happening. But what they're doing is taking what we've done so far, regrouping it, rearranging it, and giving it better structure for us to move forward with. So there are those changes that are going through within our ecosystem at the moment.
Right. So how big is the team right now?
On the office support level, we have about 22 packs. On the ground level, so including full-time interns, part-timers, we have about 150 across 7 stores.
Right.
And then on the central kitchen level, we have about 15, 20 people. And that changes from time to time.
So one thing very unique, I don't know if John, you can agree when you visit Burger Lab, is that, it doesn't matter whether it's a guy or a girl, whatever race or whatever. They all, one, I think the command of English is really good for the typical waiter. And the second thing is that generally they are like at worst above average when it comes to niceness in terms of the, that is something I have to say as a matter of fact, right? Not because you're here. What do you attribute that to? Is it all this, right at the end you have that 15 minutes screaming sessions between your staff or what,
There's no screaming session, but I mean, I wouldn't rule out the fact that it might happen. I think it's the character that we hire for.
I see.
I mean, it's never perfect. We don't have a formula, but we don't hire indiscriminately, meaning that we do look out for certain traits that we're looking for. But other than that, we hold each other accountable to our 10 values.
Okay.
Right. So, for example, from number 1, we have be welcoming and sincere. We have be unique and inventive. Be knowledgeable and humble. So there's 10 values that we hold true to. And from day 1, we teach them. Like this morning, I was actually our trainer for our orientation. And everyone that joins Burger Lab, I don't care what level you're at, you go through a 2.5 hour orientation. And the orientation is broken into 3 parts. The first part is mindset. The other part is kitchen and then service. The most important one is the mindset. I said today, why we're sitting here today is so that we know we are all aligned. What are we aligned to? We're aligned to our 3 missions, and then we're aligned to our 10 values. And why this is important? Because especially when it comes to young people, you tell them, hey, these are 10 values, you need to memorize, you need to be this. They don't care.
That's not the purpose, yeah.
They don't care, right? But I said, look, where do you want to work? Do you want to work in an environment where you're respected? Yes. Do you want to work in an environment where you are given the space to grow? Yes. Do you want to work in an environment where you're allowed to have your opinion? Yes. These are all things you want, right? Now, for us to have that trust, for us to do this, we need to know that yourself and the people around you are aligned to these values. Read out the 10 values, and they go through the 10 values. And I'm like, are these good values that you want in yourself? Yes. Are these good values you want in your neighbors? Yes. Then where does it start? It starts with you.
Yeah.
If everyone practices these 10 values, and I know that my neighbors, the people around me are practicing these 10 values, naturally, we are here to take care of each other. Right? I won't go too deep onto our mission 1, 2, and 3, but it's built to give them trust that, hey, look, they're being taken care of. Because a lot of times workplaces hire people just to fill up roles, just to fill up the void. You're a cashier, you do cashier work. Don't think about anything else. You're, patty flipper, you flip patty and you don't do anything else. But we try to give them a more bigger purpose than that. So once they feel that at work they are taken care of, right? What do they do next? They take care of the customers. And as I said, when you hire the right person with the right attitude and you give them the right nudge, right? And always putting them on both sides of the table. I always tell them, as a customer, what do you expect to be treated as? Make sure when you're on the other side of the table, you treat the customers as such. In fact, we teach them the golden rule and the silver rule. Yeah. I don't know any company that goes around doing that. And a lot of them haven't heard of the golden rule and the silver rule, right? Treat others as you want to be treated. Do not treat others as you don't want to be treated. I say that's our SOP for service, right? Yes, we do have a list of things that you have to do, but that means nothing. Those are tasks. That doesn't define how you give good service. Right? As long as you're able to say, hey, look, I'm going to treat you as I want to be treated as a customer. And I'm not going to give you the service that I don't want to see. And immediately you see the change.
Do you interview each of your staff?
Not me. The managers have the power to do so. I mean, they should hire for their own team. But because I go through all the orientation, I train all the orientation, at least the first half of it. Most of the staff I would have some level of contact with, even if it's for that first 2 hours. Then they go off to their individual stores.
Wow.
Yeah.
John?
MJ, just to let you know, what Ren Yi is doing, certain MNCs in Malaysia don't even practice.
Yeah.
Like, I kid you not. No, it's a compliment and a kudos to you. Because I've worked in an MNC before. And how I wish SMEs in businesses, especially in Malaysia, practice what you do. The next question is actually more of a half a joke, half a question. When are you getting listed?
Far from that, bro. Far from that.
Actually, I think John raised a good question, funny question, but One thing I noticed as well about Burger Lab that I don't see in other so-called successful food F&B chains is actually the rate of expansion. So one thing I see some people who have hit the kind of success that, or not even the kind of success that Burger Lab has had, but suddenly they are like everywhere. They're growing as fast as T Life, you know. I mean, obviously that's not realistic, but you get what I mean. What do you think of like the expansion rate of Burger Lab? And I suspect I know the answer, but I want you to tell me what it is.
It's definitely slow as compared to a lot of big players in the industry. But I don't think we came here to conquer the world. Yes, we do have a BHAG that says, one day we want to conquer the world. But essentially for me, our fundamentals in the early days were we open new stores when we have the right talent to man them. Originally, Burger Lab was supposed to be a one store business. But, as people grew with us and we go like, hey, wait, this guy can take care of another store. We should open another store for him. Of course, as the years went by, I learned that the hard truth that, it will come to a point where they will find other avenues, they will have other dreams, their priorities will change, and that's fine, right? And then then it starts, like, you got to start feeling the void, right? So for us, up until I think 2018, it was organic growth. We can afford a store, open a store. We got the talent, open the store. Right. 2019 was when we wanted to be more aggressive. We had a whole plan of up until 2025, we were going to expand. We're going to go overseas potentially because we do get a lot of requests. I want to open in Australia. I want to open in Taiwan. I want to open, in Thailand. So we have all these requests constantly. And I've never, I guess in my whole life, I've had to reject so much money. Excuse me. And the reason is because I knew we weren't ready yet. So we were starting to build a team to be ready for that. And of course, 2020 happened. So we are back at square one. And currently we are doing more firefighting than, really putting our eyes in the horizon to say, hey, look, we're going to build another 10, 20, 30 stores down the road. At least not so soon. However, that being said, I do have a central kitchen that we have committed to middle of last year. That is supposed to support up to 20 Burger Labs. So right now I'm in a bit of a dilemma because while at that point in time, just before MCO3, in fact, or whatever it was called at that point in time, we were very hopeful because we always carried that hope from 2019. And when 2020 ended, we were like, 2021 is the year. We got to go for it.
Yeah.
Right. Then we saw 2021 started and we were like, oh, holy shit, this is not the year either. Abort. And then halfway through the mid-year, we were like, okay, everyone's getting vaccinated. Everything looks good. Right. Let's commit to that. And we found the right lot. We found the right people to go and do it. Let's commit to it. Let's build the CK that we wanted. Let's build the halal CK that we wanted. Paid whatever deposit that's needed. And then MCO3 hit. And here's the thing, MCO3 hit, and MCO3 ended close to September. When I say ended in the F&B terms, means that we could start serving Dine In. I think the last 2 years, you heard a lot of F&B people making a lot of rah-rah noises saying that, oh, we need Dine In, we can't sustain ourselves, it's all delivery only. And that is truth. However, it doesn't spell the same for all industries post Dine In. My business suffered from it because the last 2 years, people were so brainwashed to do takeaway that when Dine In opened up, they still chose takeaway. Where else certain brands like sushi, barbecue, steamboats, they were thriving and good on them because they were suffering during the first 2 years anyway. But we didn't thrive. So that was number one. Our percentage of delivery to Dine In is 50-50, even up till today. Under normal circumstances, before COVID, it's about 10-15% of our sales.
Right.
And our business model is not built for 50% delivery.
Yeah.
Our rental has still been the same. The amount of people that we need is still the same.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All our fixed costs are still the same. So that becomes a very painful reality for us. And of course, November, December, the cost of goods has been increasing tremendously.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Last time, once a month, our suppliers will always email us. Here's one pager of 10, 20 items that has a slight increase in price, maybe 2-3%. In November, we were receiving memos every week
Of the changes.
And one of the memo, the craziest one, was expect the prices in the next few months to go up between 20% to 200%. We're like, what the
Wait,
F?
what was the 200% item?
We don't use it. It's not part of
Okay.
our menu. But that was the memo. It said expect there to be such a hike. And in fact, even till yesterday, when I was talking to our chicken supplier, things are not going to get better anytime soon. In fact,
Gosh.
I told you guys just now, there are reports of even the KFC downstairs in Atria here, where they had no chicken to sell. They ran out of chicken. KFC
You know that,
ran
John?
out of chicken.
Oh my God.
And this is in the city. So
Yeah.
it started happening in the more suburban areas, right? The smaller towns, right? Because I think KFC strategy-wise, support the main town ones first and then the fringe ones.
We're suburb lah. We're not exactly town lah.
Exactly. So there is a huge supply chain disruption and we're all facing it. Look, McDonald's made an announcement. They can't serve large fries anymore, serve medium fries so that they can stretch it out longer. For smaller players like me, right? Just 2 weeks ago, we had to go to the supermarket just to grab whatever fries we could find from
No
the
way.
freezer.
My
Because
gosh.
no, it's not
No
that.
way.
So there's such huge movements within the industry. So anyway, coming back to the point, post Dine In being allowed, we are not doing any better. So we realized that there is pandemic proof, and some business like to say that we're pandemic proof. You should invest in us now. But then we realized, are you post-pandemic proof?
Ooh, that's a new term.
Because
Makes sense.
and we've talked to different people from within the industry, and we realized that not everyone is doing well. Certain industries, the omakase industries, damn good.
Of course, they have to be there, right?
Right. And people are spending money there. Great on them. The more niche experiential type F&B, like I said, steamboat, barbecue, all this, doing really well. But there are certain types where, because of behavioral change stemming from aggressive, I would say, promotions by delivery platforms, have really built habits within the consumers. And that, we are feeling it. But at the same time, I'm also on the other spectrum of thinking, is this sustainable? Because they're spending so much money trying to convert customers. The question is, will this sustain? Should I hold out until things become normal again? Or do I start changing my business structure? Do I move to a smaller location and just serve delivery?
So a lot of our listeners like a bit of numbers, right?
Okay.
So I think what you brought up is this delivery and then dine-in separation. Now, my mom's also in F&B and she's very reluctant to go delivery because of the juicy cuts that these delivery platforms take, right?
Yep.
So obviously, FIRL are on delivery platforms. And what is the reasoning behind it? Because what I tell my mom is, I know your margin is going to get eaten up nicely, but it's all about, yes, making the additional profit if it's possible, but it's also maintaining it and marketing so that people during the pandemic can still eat your food and remember it. That's my logic to her, say, just go with it, right? But she disagrees because she wants the margins. What is FIRL's thoughts on this, right? And also give a sense, right, for myself and the listeners, right, how much less money you make when you do delivery.
First, let me clarify.
Yes.
We have been on delivery platform since 5 years ago. As far as 5 years ago, we started with Foodpanda, and at that time, we were still fairly popular, and Foodpanda was very aggressive in acquiring us, or at least getting us on board. And the general manager at that time came to me directly and really courted us. Let's just put it that way. I said, look, if your food can be delivered within half an hour and still stay fresh, I'll consider. So he did all he can. He brought the rider, asked him to cycle around, order the food, put it inside. He will travel
Test,
half an hour, come back, test the food. We're still happy with it or not. So I was like, okay, fine, let's try it out. But I want the clause to be able to exit this partnership anytime. Because one of my other fear at that time, 5 years ago, was that if I'm making 100K a month for this store, if I do delivery and I pay you 25%, let's say, okay, will I still be making 100K or more or less, right? But it turns out, to my surprise, that delivery became a supplementary sales. Those who wanted to dine in and have fresh burgers, they will come in and have fresh burgers. So my 100K maintained, but Foodpanda brought in an extra 20% of sales. So then another 20K of sales. So that to me was okay.
What's the volume? What was the volume comparison as well? Do you roughly know?
Or what do you mean by volume comparison?
Like the amount of burgers for deliveries and the amount of burgers. Oh, it's sales, right? Sorry, okay. I thought it was profit. Sorry.
Yeah. So in that sense, it is close to 20% lah.
Yep,
right? So then obviously there was a change, and I wasn't too happy with Foodpanda's service at that point in time. So they can toggle all this, whether they put more riders near your area and they give you the good riders, even riders that are different tiers, right?
Yeah.
But we were experiencing a lot of problems, especially when they had riders that were either very rude or they do double delivery, meaning that I'll take your food, I'll wait for the next food to be ready. I'll take that as well.
That ruins
so the first
experience.
person is gonna have cold burger, right? And we told them we agreed not to do this, right? They said, oh, no choice, it's once in a while thing, but it became so frequent that we were very unhappy. So then came Grab, and Grab also courted us very hard, and we were like, okay, you seem like a better choice at this point, and they were offering us a lower percentage as well, and we tried it out, and we had a great relationship. I think Grab was very supportive. They were really they were funding a lot of the promotions as well, and we enjoyed it. But at that time, I didn't see the potential downside of that in the long run. Because I'm in a position of advantage. Why should I complain, right?
Yeah.
And I think came COVID, and that was when I felt a little bit slighted by the delivery partners, whether it's Grab, whether it's Foodpanda, and because I'm a very vocal person within the industry, and I kind of rallied a lot of F&B players together in a chat group, and we were all talking about different problems. So prior to COVID, a lot of businesses were not on delivery. A selected handful were on delivery only. Right? But when we were under lockdown, we all had no choice. So everyone started scrambling around, calling the GrabFood sales guys and the Foodpanda sales guys and say, hey, we want to be on delivery right now. And you would think that in that period where everyone is doing delivery only, that they will offer a better rate. Immediately, the rate was 30% and above. Yeah. Right. I don't know. I'm probably going to get in trouble with this. I don't give a fuck.
No, I think that's a term for it, industry gorging, and they used it to their advantage.
Which was crazy. And they were using terms of kita jaga kita, this and that. I'm like, no, you're not kita jaga kita. Right. And then in our position as BurgerLab, we asked for, hey, you know what? Last time, 20% of my sales comes from you. Right now it's 100%. Can we lower down the percentage a little bit? Because you're obviously earning more.
Yeah.
Because we had the same amount of sales, right? After the first month, it was terrible because everyone was cooking at home, because everyone was stocking out at home. But after 1 month of cooking at home, people were like, you know what? I want to eat outside already. So we started seeing a shift, and we said, look, we can't be profitable. Can you adjust it a little bit? You're earning more than before.
Yeah.
The answer was no. They said, we are not doing good as well. Because other parts of their businesses were suffering.
Ride-hailing,
for example. Understandable, we asked, they said no. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to touch your business. I said, I won't ask for too much if you say no on goodwill, right? On good faith that you're not doing well either. Understood. And that was when the pink and the green, started having a price war. They were throwing 50%, 70% left, right, and center. And that was when I went to them and said, you told us you didn't have money. Now you're giving up to 12 ringgit 50 cents off per order. Do you know how much it would mean to all these F&B businesses if you took your 12.50 and you just took 2.50, you give it back to us, right? And customers, give them the 10% discount. I don't care. Give it to them. But 2.50, you give it back to us.
Help us out as well.
Help us out as well. But the mentality at that point, the way I saw it was that merchants became dispensable.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you don't want to be on us, is it? Don't worry. We got 10 more merchants that's lining up to be on our platform, because everyone was struggling to survive. And that was when I saw the true nature of our relationship. So I became more vocal. In fact, on platforms like this, I'm not calling any individual platform out. Both of them are, in fact, now there's 3 of them, right? And probably a 4th one as well, a yellow color one, right? It's insane. And the only way they know how to attract customers is promotions. And right now, because of the way the game is played, riders is number 1. They need fleet control. Without riders, they can't deliver food. So everyone is trying to give the best rate to the riders. Then after that, it's the customers. All the promotions go to the customer. Merchants, you can't afford it, you're out. But here's the thing. We work the hardest. Without the team cooking.
You guys have the product, right?
We have the product. But because everyone is so lashed on to their tits, right, that no one dares at this point let go. Because they feel like if I let go, 50% of my sales is off the table. And that's where I am at right now. Right? So I think that there's an imbalance. And all I ask for is let's come to the table and talk. But we're not getting that because we're not united as one front. All F&B players are fragmented.
That's true.
Right. So that is the problem or the challenge we face. We all talk about the same problem, but none of us can come together and act as one.
Why is that the case, do you think?
I don't know. And I think I want to be that guy holding, the flag and say, hey, no, rarely behind me, but I'm busy saving my own business. I won't have time to do that. Right. And then if you think about it, on the rider side, that's also a tricky one. Most riders I know have 3 bags at home. All colors, pink, orange, and green.
Green.
And depending on what rate who is giving out on. So just so you guys know, I don't know if you knew this or not. When they throw promotions, let's say a 50-50 or whatever promotions that they're doing, they need riders. So on those days, riders will get a premium. So as a rider, and I'm a gig worker, right? I don't log into you today, not a big deal. So I will hop onto the platform that pays me more today. And for mono delivery platform merchants like me, where I'm only on one platform, remember the day when Shopee Food launched?
Yes.
Our food, no one were there to deliver it because all the riders went over to Shopee for that one day.
Gosh.
Wow. So we were playing this game, and merchants are always at the loss in this current.
So you basically have to be on all platforms, right?
Omnichannel is the way to go. And here's the other thing. Everyone offers different rate, different commission. And the difficult part for us when we're on omnichannel is when we want to play different pricing. Some platforms allow us to have dynamic pricing. Some say, no, you must be in-store pricing. If you don't do in-store pricing, your commission will be this high instead. Or people can no longer search you on your platform. So we are playing with all this. And even if I can do multiple different prices, my POS has to be able to handle it as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My staff have to like, this came from this.
So you need a team to analyze.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And I don't have that team.
This is a new job, man.
Yeah.
COVID creating new jobs.
Have you seen the cashiers in restaurants where there is GrabFood, Food Panda,
Oh, yes.
all that, right? All the terminals. My God, I really respect those guys who have to handle, because this one came, you have to label it. It must be so much of a
brain
system.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have to do some sort of the discounting model in your head because this guy is pricing it this much, this guy is pricing it. It's insane, to be honest.
Yeah. So actually, but like, I think I go back to my question, right? Like, give a sense of so you talked a lot about how pre-pandemic they added to your top line about 20%. Now it's probably about 50-50. But in terms of the bottom line, like how much less do you make when you deliver instead of Dine In?
So I don't know if I can entirely blame it on the delivery model because like I said, costs have gone up significantly and every other week we are adjusting that. But, from having, let's say, a percentage of profit, of gross profit at around, let's say 15%, right? We're looking at close to 5% now.
What?
Wow.
My God.
Yeah.
And
there's not much room to play with.
I'm pretty sure you want to maintain your quality. So every time your suppliers actually give you a memo, I doubt you do a cost pass through immediately. You probably have to. Yeah, exactly. So your menu prices will change every week.
Yeah. So one of the worst call I've made as a leader in the company was I didn't dare pull the trigger early enough. In fact, we only changed our price in February, but once we did our P&L, so when we did our P&L in November, we're like, okay, we're making a small loss. Fine, we tahan first. Things will be better. Then December, oh shit, it's really, the gap is widening. Then January, I still didn't pull the trigger. I was like, chill a bit. I think things will normalize out. Didn't. Then there was enough damage that was done already. By end of January, we were like in deep red. Everything that we've saved for the last 2 years that we either broke even or made a little bit of money or went out. And I also made a mistake of, I don't know if it's a mistake or not, but I also committed to paying out bonus to my team for 2022. We made a little bit of money. We said, look, you guys worked hard. Here's a little bit of, half a month or 1 month bonus. Better than nothing. And we didn't expect things to be so bad. So with that commitment, we basically bleed ourselves dry to some extent. So then only we triggered the price change in February, which has helped a little bit. But, with every week, things changing, I don't know. I'm tackling as I go.
Yeah, man.
And of course, labor is in huge shortage, and everyone is poaching one another, especially new restaurants. I'm glad there are new restaurants coming into the foray, but you have to understand when people start a new restaurant, they have the highest reserves. They have they have capital.
They're starting off,
right? So usually they can throw price a bit lah. So if you're offering 2,000 ringgit for waiter, right? 2,002 lo. And it's spoil market lah.
It's part of the game lah.
It's part of the game. The older restaurants are, of course, a little bit not as shiny, not as sexy anymore. So people will move to the newer restaurants to work. So we're seeing a lot of shift, and in fact, people don't stay as long. You have people who work, and then the next day they'll just disappear.
Really?
Right? This is thankfully not within my organization, but I have friends within the industry that are experiencing that, and it's common.
What's the turnover like for FIRL, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, what's the attrition rate? What's the attrition rate?
Oh, these are big words for me. Do you define this on a yearly basis or on a monthly basis?
So that means, let's just say if you have 100 employees in a year and then 20 leave, your attrition rate is about 20%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say it's about 10%.
Okay.
I'd say about 10%.
Okay. Very good.
However, that's based on full-time only. Part-time is more.
Makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So can you give us examples of part-time, and why are these positions still part-time for FIRL in a way?
We have no choice in the sense where we will take whoever that wants to work. We can't fill up the gap. So if under this kind of circumstances, so pre-COVID, FIRL, 90% part-timers. That's who we believe we are. We want young people who are in school to have retail experience. We want them to enter our workforce, live as better adults, young adults. That's who we are. That's what we believe in. That's why pre-pandemic, you go to any FIRL, it's all young people.
Correct.
Right? Absolutely. Not that it's older now, but right now we are looking at more career, people who wanted to drive a career in F&B. That's where we're targeting. So if you can hire full-time, that's our go-to preferred hire. But of course, there's not enough manpower supply to go around. So if there are part-timers, we take. Yeah.
I see. I'm pretty sure you do. I think you said it earlier, exit interviews and all that. Would it be a good assumption to say that a lot of them leave, but they leave within the F&B industry, or they leave to join another industry altogether? I mean, based on your sampling, I know it can't be precise science, but
they join the gig industry.
Industry.
Okay, that's interesting.
And the e-commerce industry as well.
I see. I think you gave them too good of a training, Ren Yi. That's why. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not good for us in this current times lah.
Understood.
Yeah, man. So I guess I'd like to do my part to help out, right? If someone wants to send their CV, who do they send it to? What's the email?
We put a link down there in the comment section.
We can do that. Here's the thing. I also understand that F&B is not for everyone.
Yeah,
and it's a tough industry. And currently, because of the economy because of how the economy is and how we have all suffered for the last 2 years, people are opting for, you know what, I earn a little bit less, but I have more freedom.
Okay.
There are that. Right. I also know of people who left us, might be making 2,000 to 2,005 and earning 1,008, but he has more flexibility. Right. Because you have to understand in F&B, right, when people are eating lunch and dinner, you're not eating lunch or dinner. When people are celebrating with their friends on the weekend, you're not out there hanging out with your friends and family on the weekend. Under normal circumstances, people who who enjoy serving people who came into this industry out of the idea of servitude. There are less and less of these people because the last 2 years has been grueling for everyone. You can only give joy to other people when you have some level of happiness or joy yourself.
That's true.
Right? Why would you go into an industry that you know you have to output so much energy, you have to output so much happiness to other people when you yourself might not be in a good place? Not to your fault, but to how things are.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's why people are opting out of F&B, and most of the time it is due to mental health as the main reason. Yeah, and I don't blame them. I want out too.
Yeah.
If I can, I want out too.
All right.
Yeah, but you're too deep into it.
Yeah, I'm too deep into it. I'm the captain.
Hey, please don't stop, man. I love your burgers, please.
Yeah, the captain has to go down with the ship.
Yeah. Maybe it's a good segue now, MJ, to probably the intricacies of making things on the menu, because
Yes,
I was
perfect.
just
Perfect.
like,
You do that.
Yeah,
I'll grab
because-
water for both of us. Okay.
All right.
okay,
That's
great.
good.
So Ren Yi, as an engineer myself, I've always thought of food as a very creative process, but now looking at it, it's you have in a way proven that it's more scientific. I mean, I've seen some chefs, those Michelin star chefs, right? They try to bring a lot of science. Maybe let's start off with a very simple and humble idea of the burger patty, and what was the science behind it? Why the burger patty? I think you shared because of the Ramly burgers and the Michelin, but what was your initial discovery stage when you created your first patty? What you wanted it to be? What was the objective? And what was the learning process and what you learned as much? Yeah.
All right. For me, I only understood that flavor came from fats.
Ah.
A little bit, not later, but in the process of developing our first patty, I thought that it was the flavor that you chuck in, the herbs that you chuck in. If you search online to make a beef patty, right, most of the time they'll say, add garlic powder, add, all these flavors, right? Whether it's salt, pepper, mix it all in, add a
Right proportion.
eggs and whatnot, and you mix it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's 1,001 ways to make a good burger, right?
Okay.
But for me, I wanted a beef patty that had its own unique taste.
I see.
At the time when we were working out of a pop-up in this cafe called Red Bean Bag, I don't know if you guys have been before, Australian brunch cafe, really, really good. And OG, been around for 10 years plus. Do go visit them. They were the one that supported us by giving us a space to do a pop-up. And at the time, the chef there, his name is Ryan, and he said, hey, I'm going to teach you a method, but you cannot do a lot one. You can only do a few burgers at a time. I said, okay, teach me anyway. Right? He said, the flavor comes from fat, right? I said, all you need to do is take the fat, cook it, right? And then freeze it and then blend it together with the beef. So that there's more flavor. It's called rendering the fat. But that process is smelly and it takes damn a lot of time.
I see.
But we did it anyway. Then halfway through, I was like, how do people make rosemary oil? How do people make lemon oil? Because if you go to the supermarket, you see these little nice fancy jars and they got flavored oil, right?
Correct.
Then I realized, wait a minute, these are not oil from lemon, these are not oil from rosemary. They infuse it. Then I realized that, oil or fat is a very good vehicle to transport flavor. And how they infuse this flavor, right, is you can do it at home. Buy canola oil, something that is a little bit more neutral.
Oil, right?
Yeah. And then put in whatever herbs you want, whether it's garlic, rosemary.
Even scallion.
Scallions.
Scallion oil.
Exactly. Sesame. Sesame is sesame oil. But the point is you can mix and match.
Yeah.
Right, whatever flavor you want. Low heat. Extract the flavor out. There you go. Infused oil. So then I was thinking, holy shit, we are already boiling this fat and rendering it into, beef fat. We're going to chuck aromatics into it. So we chuck garlic, onion, star anise, like all the flavors that I want in a burger. Right? That's why when you eat our burger patty, the old one at least, you can taste all this complex flavor, but you don't see the garlic pieces. You don't see the rosemary pieces because it's already infused in the fat. But again, doing that on a small scale, no problem. But it will hit a point where it becomes too difficult to do. And that's where we started hitting a wall a couple of years back. And then we started switching the technique. So instead of using fat, we still use fat, we grind into the meat together. what we do is we make umami jelly. So
Ooh.
we make a broth, all right, and we take the same herbs and what we usually add into the beef fat anyway. So we don't render the fat anymore. We take the normal fat and grind it in, but we make umami jelly. So we make a broth with all the herbs and whatnot. Then we add gelatin into it, and then the gelatin acts as a fat. And then we grind the meat together, and then it will provide some level of moisture and also flavor.
Wow.
Again, over COVID, and right now we're super short-staffed. Our equipments are also breaking down. They are a little bit old already. We realized that we cannot continue doing this. We've hit that ceiling that
The wall.
Ryan talked about, right? That wall that Ryan talked about. And it took us 10 years to get that, which is a good thing. And we said, okay, we need our next patty, right? Our next flavored patty. But we were thinking, how do we're 10 years old. As a restaurant, we're basically in our, I guess, late teens, right? We need to mature up.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, you know what, let's go back to fundamentals. Let's serve a really, really good beef burger that we can alter the flavor profile from the outside.
Okay.
So we worked with our supplier, Lucky Frozen, and we developed a beef patty together. And they have the technology. They have a 1.5 million ringgit machine, right, that can maintain the cold chain from start to finish. So the beef, if you haven't seen it before, it's like a big box of like, I think 20, 30 kg worth of meat.
Whoa.
It's frozen one block at negative 25 degrees. And you can't grind a negative 25 degrees block. You need to bring it down to about negative 4 degrees. All right. So he has a microwave like layman term, that he puts it in, it travels from one end to the other, and it defrosts it to exactly negative 4 degrees from core to outside.
Wow.
Right?
I'm actually watching the video of it right now. The
Yes,
one that you posted.
yes, I posted. That's
I was
exactly
like,
it.
While MJ was asking, I was like, oh my God, this is engineering marvel for food.
Yeah.
So then they grind the whole block, right? And you
Yeah.
must ask, hey, what about all those muscles, all those tough parts, this and that? The
Sinews and all
sinews
that.
and whatnot. The machine has the capacity
Break it down.
to break it, not to break it down, to actually extract it.
Ooh.
So that's the technology that we can't afford.
Yeah.
So-
1.5 million ringgit, right?
1.5
per machine.
million, right? So we work with the right partners right now to get the beef that we want. And because it's maintained the cold chain, we can actually serve it medium doneness, where it's maximum juiciness. Why previously, right, you ask, hey, Ren Yi, if I eat a burger before, every time I bite into it, it's brown color inside one, but it's still juicy to some extent. It's juicy because of the rendered fat that we put in, of the
I
umami
see.
liquid that we put in.
Yeah,
We had to mimic it. Then you say, hey, how come you don't cook medium last time? All right, that's a good reason. You guys know that for burgers, it's not recommended to eat a medium.
Oh.
When I eat my steak, it's always medium rare. So.
Steak is different.
Yeah.
Now, there's bacteria everywhere, right? You take a piece of steak, there's
Yeah.
bacteria outside as well. But you grill it. That's why you grill it, you cook it. So the outside is cooked, there's no bacteria, right?
Inside's
but the inside,
fine.
it's fine because it's intact. It's
Correct,
within the meat.
correct.
You don't want to eat a steak that has been cut in half.
But when you grind, you cannot do that because
Exactly.
it's exposed already.
You mix everything in, right? So why the idea of the cold chain not being broken is always under negative 0 degrees, right? It's because the amount of bacteria that is growing in there is minimal. That's why if you grind a piece of beef today, you take a steak, you grind it, turn it into a burger, you can cook medium, no problem. But one day later, you cannot.
I see.
Wow, so sensitive.
That's the difference, because in one day, even you keep it in the fridge, right? The bacteria has slowly, what do you call it?
Propagated lah, because it's like
Not propagated, but it has multiplied.
Yeah, multiply lah. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
and then you
yeah.
have a higher chance of getting a tummy ache. So for us, because of it being frozen all the way, it never had a chance for the bacteria to grow. So even when in the store right now, we cook it frozen. It hits the griddle frozen. So
I
is there
see.
bacteria inside? Yes, minimal. So it's as if you just ground the beef this morning.
I see.
Wow.
How long is the shelf life of if you have this entire cold chain? How long is the normal shelf life of a patty?
For us, we keep it to a month, but
Okay.
in theory, it can be 1 year.
I see. Because of the frozen, it is in a way, I know it's not a very good parallel, but you kind of like pasteurize the beef in a way.
No,
because of
that's the
frozen
wrong
meat. Oh, wrong
analogy.
parallel. Okay, what would be a good parallel?
No,
actually?
it's just that if you buy chicken today, if you're not eat it in the next 2-3 days, keep it frozen. And you can technically keep it frozen for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, as long as the fridge doesn't break down and there's a defrost, and you can still eat it. End of the world, you can still eat it. It won't taste good. The texture would have changed already over time.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But I can say you can safely eat it and cook it without getting a tummy ache.
Right.
That's the science behind, the bacterial propagation.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you put it in chiller, 3 days gone.
Okay. Got it. So, in the past, you said that you had a scaling problem with the way you made it. With this cold chain, obviously it's safer, but in terms of taste, I think with any industrialization process, would it be fair for me to say that the taste would not be as good as the previous process that you made it with, which is more tedious?
I can only say come and try and let your taste buds be the judge of it. For me, I'm a food person. I think people who know me knows that I will not serve something that I personally would not eat.
Great.
Well, of course, when it's in the hands of my team, there are good days and there are bad days, right? So don't judge me for the bad days only. But I've gone through this, and yes, it is a sacrifice, because for the last 9 years, we've been educating people that why our beef burger is the best is because we do a smash burger technique. And everyone's doing a smash burger technique these days. But like I said, for us, it didn't make sense moving forward. In fact, the big brand like Shake Shack is still famous for its smash patty, right? I wish I can continue to do so. But for the sake of my team, for the sake of the transition that we are moving forward to in terms of the technology that we have to move away from that. So I'm going to say, hey, look, I'm going to serve a patty that is grilled, and it doesn't have the same nice browning that we used to have. But there is different ways to deliver that flavor.
Sure.
Right. So we have a special salt that we developed. It's not just a normal salt. It's got other flavors infused into it. And then we season it with that. And when you eat it, to me, it's magical.
Wow.
It's magical. It tastes different, but it is, to me, at this point, a better product.
You're solving the problem by not trying to improve, I guess, the beef, but other areas to make the whole taste better. Is that a correct description?
No, I would say that, look, I have product A, and that was a great burger. I have product B, which on its own is a great burger. You cannot compare it together. Okay. I mean, there are so many ways to make a good nasi lemak.
Of course.
Right? Is there one nasi lemak, that is the best in the world? Right? There's none. And you can appreciate different things. And I think as a business grow, that is to some extent expected. And in fact, because a lot of people also work with us, you start seeing a few cafes and restaurants carrying their menu. It says burgers, and it says either collaboration with FIRL or design FIRL.
Yes.
This product is also to solve that issue as well. Because Lucky Frozen, for example, is one of the biggest supply chain in Malaysia. Everyone orders from them to some extent. So if we are in collaboration with the cafe, we will basically tell Lucky Frozen to give them permission to sell to them. Nobody else can buy the patty because it's under us. But if we give green light and we work together, our branding is there as well. So cafes and restaurants can actually reach out to us and say, can we buy your patty? Say, yes, let's work together. I want my name on the burger section. If you're not a burger joint, you don't care for it. In fact, it's a benefit to you if you say that, the burgers here are in collaboration with FIRL, which is the name, burger joint.
I have to ask you, right? Sorry, John. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. Who owns the IP? Because you work very closely with Lucky Frozen because of the equipment and all that. How do you? Is there an IP to it? And who, if there is, then how is the IP somewhat protected and as well as respected in somewhat? Yeah.
I think it's a gentleman's agreement. James and FIRL and I have worked together for years. And I say, look, the more I sell, the more money you make, and people want to work with us, right? The only thing I ask for is you only sell it to the people that we give green light to. We just don't want any other random cafes and restaurants that might not be as well reputable or serve good food that carry our product lah. Right? But it's a gentleman's agreement. It is labeled as the FIRL patty, we have that mutual agreement. Hopefully, moving forward, because right now, honestly, there's nothing to stop him from selling to anybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
But not everyone knows how to use the patty. In fact, we sent a few samples to our partners, and they are like, "Hey, this patty is not good." And then I will go over and I'll show them the correct method that we are using to get it. And they're, oh, okay, this is actually a very good patty. So there are techniques behind it as well. So that was found by accident because my team, when they send sample to our current existing partners that was using the old patty, they didn't give instruction. I'm like, guys, like, come on. But I realized that it's not something that you can just use without much thought into, without understanding why we developed the patty to be that way in the first place.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. MJ?
I have to ask, right, in terms of complexity of producing whatever's on your menu, which is the most historically the most complex burger to produce and the simplest one? Or they're all pretty much the same?
I think the most complex one, it would have to be the nasi lemak burger. The reason why I say it's complex is not because everything had to be made by ourselves. Like the sambal, we don't make it. We buy a halal brand that is decent in taste, so that it's safe to eat as well. But the rendang, we make it ourselves. But when I say it's complicated, it's because it has the most ingredients in one burger. So to assemble that burger, I think there's close to 11 ingredients. So it takes the longest to make, right? While the simplest one is always a simple cheeseburger. It's a go-to. So yeah, I think burgers, you can make it as complex as you want. You want to say, hey, I'm going to put some gold leaf, I'm going to put some foie gras on there. Yeah, you can complicate it, right? Yeah. But for us, on the operational level, it's how fast the burger can be made. So the more ingredients there are, the more complex it becomes.
Okay. Now, I want to go on to a little bit about something we talked about earlier during lunch. And I'm surprised I haven't fallen asleep yet, actually, after the lunch. But I don't know, you know about this. Supply chains are actually causing a lot of problems, right, in the food industry. And I know you have strong thoughts about this. So maybe you want to explain a little bit.
I think there is a global supply chain issue happening. And the question is, it's not stopping. Speaking to our suppliers, we know that there is a huge disruption across the world. I think the latest news, and if you guys are in tune with it, is that wheat is
double in price.
It's going to be double or triple the price simply because Ukraine and Russia are, I think they produce 30% of the world's supply of wheat, right? So they are in war right now. And apparently this season, right, this summer season, is when they are supposed to start planting the crops for next season. Yeah. And if they don't do it within this window, right, it's going to be a gap year, and we're going to have a huge supply shortage, and we all rely on wheat to some extent. So that in itself is causing huge concern. I spoke to a chicken supplier recently, and I don't know if you guys heard of this, and I confirmed the news. I thought it was just a rumor that chicken suppliers are refusing to up their production of chicken because they lose money doing so. Wow. The feed that they import, right, from where it's corn, I don't know from which country, but they import, the price has gone up. So to raise a full chicken, right, it used to be, let's say, 6 ringgit. Now it's probably costing them 7, 8 ringgit. Wow. But the government is saying, hey, look, ceiling price, you must sell at 6 ringgit. If you're a chicken farmer, would you raise the chicken? You won't, because you know you're going to raise it and you're going to sell it at a loss. So then we're at that dilemma, right? So thankfully, there are still chicken farmers that are still producing. And they again, this is supposed to be, what do you call it? Off topic, off the mic, right? Right. There are ways for them to charge it back to the consumers, especially for people like us where we do need the chicken. We say, look, I don't mind if it's more expensive, right? At least I can sell. If I let's say I'm a hawker store, I sell chicken chop. There's no chicken. Yeah. What business is that to do, right? So for us, it's the same thing. We have a long-term deal with the suppliers, but who suffers most are the smaller players, are the consumers who will walk into supermarkets, who will walk into smaller hawker stores and not find them to be operational simply because they have no ingredients to serve. Yeah.
Actually, I have a different source, but confirming what you just said, it's actually a poultry premix supplier, and they are a lot of new businesses are coming into them is because the feed itself, ironically, it only forms about 55% of the poultry feed. The wheat, the corn, whatever. There are other ingredients that go in. I wouldn't go into that, but they play a critical role because they help to reduce the prices when there is because it's like you have ingredient A, B, and C in your patty, right? But for you to get the same taste, the same structure, the same nutrients, you adjust accordingly.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's tough because we are in a way quite a heavy consumer of poultry meat, especially in Malaysia. It's the cheapest protein.
Yes.
And yet we talk about beef. Beef is considered luxurious, even in Malaysia. Correct my assumption if it's wrong.
No, it is.
Yeah. So I do the groceries every week, Ren Yi. So I to be honest, it's been scary because 2020 when I started grocery shopping, because I didn't want my wife to get sick. So that's why I went out to do groceries. From 2020 until today, easily minimum of 30% price increase for across all groceries.
Exactly.
It's a bit scarier, to be honest.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I just bought oat milk yesterday for 20 ringgit.
Okay, if you can buy oat milk, you are not.
I understand.
You have no problem with money.
To be fair, it was my first time
First
buying
world
oat milk. To be fair, it was my first time buying oat milk, okay, in my defense.
All right, shout out. Which brand did you buy?
Farm Fresh.
Go and try Oatside.
OATSIDE.
Yes, from Indonesia. It's one of the cheapest, but I think it's the best tasting one.
You can get it
Anywhere.
Anywhere. Lah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was at Jaya
Like
Grocer.
all the Jaya Grocer, all the yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to I'm not sure if you asked just now when I was away, John, but the creative process of producing something new. Because I know we've been talking about quite depressing stuff. So I want to talk about something more fun, right? Which is from ideation to appearing on my plate as a consumer, right? New, fresh ideas for burgers or even pizza, because a lot of people don't know you guys have Pizza Lab as well. Walk us through what the process.
I think a lot of it is inspiration from others. I mean, we already have a template of things that we personally like. And when we first design our first round of menu, it's usually based on things that we already know, flavors that make sense, flavors that work. Excuse me. And when it comes to, what happens after that is when we go out to makan in different restaurants that are also creative and you go like, hey, wait, this thing is pretty interesting. For example, I recently went to they recently just won 50 Best Asia restaurant. Not won, but they were one of the nominated one. The restaurant is called Eat and Cook. I don't know if you've heard of them. And they had this mui choy foam. And this is like a
foam?
a fine dining place, right?
What?
And it was like the most amazing thing ever. And I was like, I never thought of using mui choy that way before, right? And I thought, wait a minute, that in my head immediately I could connect to one of the flavor profile that I was working on, right? So sometimes you can't, especially for me where I'm not a chef, I'm not a cook, right? I'm just a hobbyist, right? And sometimes, my brain works in a very unique way where I'm able to combine flavors together, but sometimes you are not as exposed to everything to these chefs, right? So sometimes when they do certain presentation and you eat it, you go like, oh my God, this is really, really good. And you can form new ideas to, hey, I can use this in my own dish as well. So a lot of times for us is seeking inspiration elsewhere, whether it is eating it on our own or online. The beauty is we are such a connected world right now, and there are so many content creators when it comes to various cuisines that is across the world, and you can have access to all this potential combination. So food, right? We are more connected than we realize. Right?
100%.
Pasta and noodle, banh mi. What's the difference, to be honest? Right? It's just a soup base. It's just how it's prepared. That's slightly different. But it's technically the same thing. Italian noodle is Chinese noodle. Is same. But if you cross over, you can find that there is a spot where they can harmoniously coexist and becomes a new product. So that's what FIRL does to some extent. The thing about burger is it's not difficult to make a good burger. As long as you can make a decent bun, you have decent cheese, you have decent patty, you can make a good burger, right? And the thing about a burger is you build flavors on top of one another. You just kind of layer it up, right? So when we had the challenge of paying tribute to a restaurant that I used to like a long time ago, have you all heard of, I can't remember the name now. There was this restaurant that served Thai burger.
Oh,
wow.
Long time ago. All right.
Wait, with sambal
Kristan.
or just
Kristan.
with sambal or no, just the pad thai?
I don't remember. With sambal.
Okay.
So the restaurant name is Kristang. Cristang. Unfortunately, they closed down.
Yeah, CRIS 8th Avenue.
Yes, long time ago, right? In the
Yeah.
old PJ there. I really loved the burger. And when we opened up Burger Lab, I was like, oh no, this place is gone. I really liked it. Let's pay tribute to it. So, and we love doing that. You see a few tribute burgers on our menu. And that's what Burger Lab is about. We don't dare claim that we invented this and that. A lot of things is you take inspiration from others. And if you take inspiration from others, you credit them. Anyway, back to the point. I wanted to create a sambal petai burger tribute. And at the same time, I was like, if I'm going to make a smelly burger, let's make the world's smelliest burger. So then combine it with what? Combine it with blue cheese.
Oh,
Right?
durian? No durian.
No, the thing is, I wanted to do that, but it was more difficult than I expected.
Yeah.
But I mean, blue cheese in the burger has been accepted. Sambal in a burger, I don't think anyone. Oh, I mean, Chris Tang did it, right? And it was fairly popular. So I thought, okay, fine, let's try to combine that. Now, to be honest, blue cheese sauce with sambal petai didn't go too well together. It clashed a little bit. But when it comes to food, right, the beauty is sometimes you just need to think of a bridging ingredient. Okay. So for me, the bridging ingredient was actually pineapple. So if you think about it, okay, have you had sambal nanas before?
Yes.
Rare.
Yes, I have.
but
Right?
yes.
It does exist in our
It works,
logo.
it works.
It works good. It
It's a
works.
bit like apple curry or so, that kind of that zone. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
so it's spicy, sweet a little bit. So the sambal petai and nanas works pretty well together because the sambal was the tying ingredient. Then blue cheese. When you eat blue cheese, you eat with dried fruits, right?
Or biscuits.
right.
Yeah.
Right? Or biscuits, right? So to me, the blue cheese required a little bit of sweetness as well. So when you have that three stacked together, magic happens. And you know where I get this kind of ideas from? Ratatouille.
Hey.
Remember that scene where he was trying to convince his fat cousin Gus, I think.
Yes.
No, eat this cheese. Okay, it's one flavor. Eat this grape. Oh, then it's another flavor. And then combine them together, and it's a whole new flavor. And then that's what's so exciting about food, right? So that's why you see for us some of the ingredients you got. Why they combine this? Are they trying to just do something funky and just to create something viral? I think the thing is a lot of restaurants do that these days, and that's the unfortunate part. But for us, it's always finding weird combinations that pair well together. Another one that I'm quite proud of, I think you like the Elvis, right?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask, how did that come about? Because so anything with peanut butter, I should really like it. It doesn't really matter what patty you use, what meat, it's peanut butter. Okay, I'll take it. So that's me, right?
So
but how did it come about?
The thing is combining two things together. IKEA meatballs, which comes with lingonberry jam.
Yes.
So meat and jam is not too far off. We have already had that combination.
Yes.
PB&J already works on its own.
Correct.
So naturally, if you put those three together, they work. And we all have had meat with peanut sauce before. Satay.
Oh yeah.
So that's sweet,
It's
but
sweet.
Yes.
But our patty is sweet as well. Sorry, our peanut butter is sweet as well.
Actually, John, have you tried the Elvis before? I think you've tried the Elvis.
No,
before.
I haven't tried.
See,
Yeah.
that's why I don't know.
I love. I'm like MJ lah. I love my peanut butter lah. Even chocolate, right? My favorite chocolate is peanut butter chocolate lah.
Yeah, and back when you guys were still doing that cheese, then that was the salty element and the crunchy element.
Yes.
To it. I want to ask you about this. This one is a little bit deeper because I do like, I do part-time cooking. So every now and then I'll make spaghetti usually. And one thing I always like to ask someone who is in the industry is, taste is like really, really high up, obviously, but then texture as well, right? Because, it's one thing that the food need to, and okay, to be fair, I realize Asians care a lot more about taste. People in the West care a lot about texture. So where do you sit on this? And when you're making a new product, right, does texture play a big role?
Yes, it does. Although I know we don't always deliver on that.
Really? Okay.
I mean, when we design a patty or a burger, there must be layers. I call it layers. Layers of texture, and even texture, different kind of crunch also makes a difference, right? You have your pickle crunch. You have your deep fried crunch.
Yes.
Right? And you have your bread crunch. Right? So these are things that we want to deliver. But of course, when it comes to mass producing product, it becomes very difficult. In fact,
correct.
Just so you guys know, I do have an omakase burger session, which I do for free for friends. And my goal is to present the 100% version of a BurgerLab burger right? So
The purest
version. And I always say, after you have this version, you're not going to go down and there and buy my burger anymore. You're going to have the
You will
diluted
look
version.
at a McDonald's burger very differently after that.
I mean, hopefully, if you think of BurgerLab burger, you will look at a McDonald's different.
I do, really. I do. I've not.
yeah.
So, but the idea is there are ways that you can perfect the burger experience. And in fact, I don't dare say I came up with this idea alone. I've talked about this guy before, Taiki. He's from Bangkok. If you search Bangkok, Taiki, he has a 6-7 million view video. And he got famous because he only made 4 burgers a day. And you pay what you want. And usually people pay like 100 to 150 ringgit for each burger.
I see. Yes, I've seen this before.
Drew Binksley, the video.
Yeah.
So he's an artist. So when I first heard about him, I tried to contact him, and somehow we got connected. And the moment we connected, I flew over to Bangkok and met up with him. In fact, we invited him to come down to KL and do a performance as well. So we were serving 100 burgers a day, and this was at Momo. So 2019 was a great year. But the point is, from him, I learned that if you pay attention to every single element, right, you can create wonders. Because prior to that, I just thought, I just need my patty to be good. I just need my sauce to be good. And everything else is okay. I don't need to execute this 100% out. But when you have tasted his burger, where every single ingredient, whether it's the bun, whether it's the bacon, whether it's the sauce, all executed at its 100%. Magic.
Then you see the difference.
I can never, it's the best burger in the world I've ever had.
Wow.
And nothing else comes close.
Wow.
Right? So that's him. I don't even perform to his level because he's too anal. I cannot.
Understand. I mean, he's an artist. You're a businessman, right?
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is, even at my omakase level, I still don't perform to his level.
I see.
It's almost like an art, right? For me, I still want to cut corners here and there a little bit because to me, 100%, 99%, close enough. But point is, I think when it comes to texture, yes, you need to pay attention to it. But when it's mass produced, very, very difficult to pull off. Yeah.
So so that's more of the process of getting it onto the plate of a customer. What on the menu? What would be like the indicators for you to take it off the menu?
I think for us, there is a core group of burgers that has been around for the longest time.
Yes.
And we occasionally will review the menu and say, hey, look, this is not doing as well anymore. It's the bottom 5 or bottom 2. Then we will phase it out if there are new products that we feel can fill up the void. So it's based on numbers essentially. But I think we've come to a point where it's a sweet spot. We have the fixed set of burgers that people generally love. We don't change those. Any one of those that we remove, there'll be a mob outside saying, bring back my burger.
Elvis, I'll be there. I'll be one of the mob.
Exactly. But we do feature burgers every other month. Yeah, we used to do that almost every month, but during COVID we stopped. Now we are bringing that back again. So the next burger, I think for Hari Raya, I think is a satay burger. Very interesting one with fried ketupat on the side.
Fried ketupat, okay.
Yeah, so we look forward to serving you guys that.
Okay.
So in terms of bringing it to the conceptualizing it and whatnot, fast 1 month. A longer time would be about 2.5 months that we will require.
And it will have to go through like how many people to taste? Because it can't be just you, right? You may like your stuff and all that, but
it used to be just me.
Oh, really?
It used to be me because the idea is that the original menu was mostly my creation, or at least I approved it. So I was quite confident. Then it came to a point where I also felt like I shouldn't be the only one that's making the decision. So we get the rest of the team to come in. And I think the biggest test that I had to go through was I didn't like the burger, but everyone else liked it. So that was the first time that I said, you know what? The majority will decide, and we put it on the menu. And it was a hit.
Well, which one? Unless you're going to say.
I don't remember. I don't remember because there was a few that
you didn't like.
It's not I didn't like. I would say, hey, look, I think this is not the one lah, right? But I'm quite picky.
Yeah.
So again, letting the team decide was crucial. I can find out which one, but at the moment it's not at the top of my head. But I do remember it was a very tough decision for me because to some extent there was a pride to say that only I can pick the winner.
Right.
But then I realized I'm not. And it's a great relief because after that, there were several burgers that it was launched without me having to test. So you guys
see.
could make a general decision, and it's been proven that you do have I thought I had the generalized palate, meaning that if I like it, most people will like it.
Understand.
But it seems like that's not the case. And
Right. So you actually there are actually some burgers on BurgerLab's menu where you tried it at the same time as the customers, is it?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, it's a fun fact for everybody. I have like 2 or 3 more questions. John, do you have any questions? I know. Go ahead.
I something a little bit more with the unit economics. So I've always been wondering, and it just popped up to me as well. I look at pricing on the burger, right, and sometimes there's a very low variety or low difference, delta, but sometimes it's a very big. So I keep on wondering this fact, and it's great that I have you here. How do you determine pricing? It's just because of the meat content or the ingredient, or I'm pretty sure there's some.
Sometimes the name is just too cool. It has to be a higher price.
All right.
So we can share in generalities.
Can. This one is difficult because we didn't go by convention. Everyone that advised us in the early days said, keep your food cost to 30%. And I'm quite sure this is a very common, you guys have heard of this, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Keep your food cost to 30%, meaning that if your ingredients is 3 ringgit, sell at 10 ringgit, right? But when we first created our burgers, because of the types of ingredients that we use, it came up to a certain price point where we felt, it's quite high. If I times 3, it's too high. So then we went by dollar margin instead. So we said, okay, we are happy to earn X dollars per burger instead of percentage. That worked well in the early years when we had massive volume, when we were trending, right? We were viral. So we didn't think too much of it. But when every day for one store, it was 10K, 12K sales at our peak. And then when it started slowly going down, and that's when we realized, oh my God, we will hit, our break even is very high.
Yeah.
And that was another painful lesson that we had to go through. But we still stuck by that. Instead of adding 6 ringgit last time, then we started adding 10 ringgit to it. But again, it's a lesson that we have to pay for during COVID.
All right.
As the cost of operation became so much more. Whether it's mask, whether it's gloves, whether it's sanitizers, all those were extra costs that we had to bear, right? And then we realized, oh my God, it's creeped up again. So right now, we no longer use the dollar margin. We do use the percentage margin, but right now we keep to about 40% food costs.
I see.
Which is still not great, but it's still better than 55% food costs, which is where we were at one point.
That means what you're saying is that if you were, you needed, you're saying that at sales of 10 to 12, no problem. But the minute it start dropping to 8 or 7, that's when you feel the squeeze, because of course the food cost was really a lot higher.
Yes, exactly.
Do the add-ons on your menu actually help out with this or not really? Like
you say the sides and
the sides and all that.
So again, another model that we realized was wrong was that we shouldn't be fighting against the fast food giants.
Yes.
We were pricing ourselves, or not pricing, we were structuring our model to be like them. Oh, add a set lah. If you buy a fries, right, it's 5 ringgit. You buy a drink, it's 5 ringgit. You buy them together, it's 8 ringgit. I think that's the wrong model.
I see.
Reason is because people will, whatever they can share or whatever they can break apart, they will do so.
They will know how to play the game.
They know how to play the game. And also, because our pricing is generally higher, people will try to skimp on it. Because our soda, for example, is bottomless.
Correct.
Okay lah. Girlfriend, boyfriend, confirm buy one drink only ma. Right?
Guilty.
So, I mean, we should have been a restaurant concept, meaning that if you go to Nando's, you go to, what do you call it, any TGI or Chili's, right? You order your own drink, right? In fact, there are other soda versions that you buy that is more fancy and you pay higher price for it, right? When the cost is much lower. So we should have been that model. And we're slowly shifting to that. I think for the last 10 years, we've always position ourselves or model ourselves against the fast food joints. The thing is, we're not fast food, right? And we put ourselves at a disadvantage. Yeah. So in terms of pricing strategy, another thing that we used to do is when we know we have a good product, but it's difficult to make, we purposely put it at a higher price. So one of it was the Juicy Lucy, which was a beef bacon wrap patty.
Yes, yep.
It's annoying to make that product, right? It's so much work. You need to take the patty, put the cheese in, pack it up, wrap the bacon, right? And then, cook it. So much work. The cost, it was the most profitable burger. And people ordered it despite it being a high value. But it was purposely priced higher than usual. I think it was a good 15 ringgit margin, right? As compared to the normal 10 ringgit margin at that point. Because we wanted less people to order it.
and now people still order it.
People still order it. Maybe if it was cheaper, more people would have ordered it. Who knew? But in the end, we also stopped that product because it just turned out to be too difficult to make over a long period of time. But yeah, the pricing, we're still learning. And with changes of food costs moving up and down, and even the model of the business, whether it is right now, new F&B businesses have to consider the margins on delivery platforms as a factor to. So we know that 30% doesn't make sense anymore. So we need to readjust. So honestly, I don't have an answer. It's still a point of discovery right now.
No, I again, compliments and kudos to you because you're a 10-year business and here you are adapting, being agile, being cognizant that you shouldn't just try what has worked before because you know that in today's VUCA world, right? You just. I mean, can you imagine? I can't imagine, MJ, if we run FIRL where our suppliers are giving us different prices every week.
Yeah, it's like if our software, Google starts ramping up the software cost for no reason, willy-nilly, right?
Yeah,
I don't think we'll have this office, quite frankly, But I think that's where the three of you are at the top, and I know we talked a little bit about how in the early days you guys were operating, and then we alluded a little bit into the tasting and all that. But what is it actually like working with two other partners? Because you always hear horror stories of partnership breakdowns. John and I, we are partners, so we also discuss about this, how to resolve conflict, how to account for people's peculiarity, and almost like a marriage couple, you kind of accept the flaws and the good and the bad. What's it like for BurgerLab actually?
Let me share with you the horror story now.
Okay, yes.
Please.
Okay, so I think our work relationship from the start, it was great. We all complemented each other. And I always tell people, Wee Kiat is the brain, Chow Mein is the hand and the leg, and then I'm the heart. Right?
Nice.
So it comes together very nicely in the form of the business. But I've also learned over the years that not all business partners, main partners, priorities change, characters, attitude change as well. And, of course, as business people, we also learn and grow at different scale.
That's true.
Right? And I think when the difference is too much, and that's when there will be breakdowns, right? I might be saying something that you might not understand and so forth. So that happened 6 years ago, when Wee Kiat was way too ahead of us.
So this is the brain?
Yes,
the brain. Okay.
The brain was way ahead of us. And honestly, at that time, I thought oh yeah, you see, we're doing so good, this and that. I know what I'm doing, this. But looking back, I was an asshole, and I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't an asshole to the team, right? Or the partners, but I definitely thought I knew more than I did. And I enjoyed clashing with Wee Kiat. I enjoyed the process. I didn't think that he didn't enjoy it. So the heart and the brain always want different things.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So for me, let's do all this thing. Let's spend money on the team. Let's spend money on the customers. And it's like, hey, dude, you're losing money here. I said, no. We are, look at the bank. But he said, no. He understood numbers differently than I did. His background is finance.
I see.
In his finance. So for me as an engineer, I see numbers differently. I see numbers at least for me as an engineer, I see it as very absolute. Right? He see it differently I don't even know how to explain, but we just see things, from different perspective. And he got tired of the arguments. And it wasn't like heated argument. It's just I want to do this.
Yeah, it's like a everyday bit by bit kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
I want to do this. He said no. And I'm like, no lah, we meet in the middle, this and that lah. And I used to believe to build a great culture, we need to be like Google and have bean bags around and this and that. And we were like, every Monday we would take off and we'll go out and have fun. Right. And we were acting as if we were not a business to some extent.
I see.
And I said, I want to run a business that doesn't act like a business. Otherwise, what you run a business for?
Yeah.
Again, that was very naive of me. And he's like, no, look, we need to start working on opening for Mondays, for example. And we negotiated, and then we opened for Monday. We opened for Mondays except for once a month, where the first Monday of the month we will spend money for the team to go out. And I asked for more budget to go out and have fun. So these were things that slowly, I think it grinded him more than I thought. Right? Of course, he was going through other things as well. So in the end, he one day just sent a letter to me and Chaming and said, I'm taking a break from the business, and he's handed off whatever he needs to do, and he did it very well. He hired the right people, he trained them, and set the timeline on when his exit will be. But he said he'll still maintain a shareholder. So that was 5-6 years ago, and then I took on the helm of his position, and that's when I realized, damn, this is difficult. And then I had to have internal fights with myself. The brain and the heart is like, let's give the team more. No, you can't afford it. So I was having all this Jekyll and Hyde moment in my head. And I think I learned to appreciate what he did for us a lot more in that period. Then recently, I had a fallout with my second partner, Changming.
This is the
hands and the legs. Right. The hands and the guy who, you need things done, he gets things done. If you're stuck in the middle of the road, your tire puncture, you call him, he's there for you. Great friend, right? But at work, for me, we broke down because he was a very silent person. And I made a lot of the calls for the business. But I didn't know that he wanted more say. Or he at least wanted me to ask him, hey, I'm going to do this. Are you okay with this? I took that for granted. I thought it was, okay, you want to take a back seat? Okay, I'll do everything, right? And I thought I was doing him a favor. So then I think during COVID, he was also very stressed out. He was a bit burnt out. I called out on certain things that he didn't do. And unfortunately, he wasn't happy about it. And he said, okay, you know what? It's just the end of my journey here. I want to sell the business. So we are still going through that process. We are looking for buyers. So in case anyone is interested, there's 42% sales, 42% of shares for sale over there. But when he said that, I felt betrayed. I felt like, all I ask is, since you're already not making decision, why don't you just take a back seat, right? And then let me run the business, and I don't have to keep running through everyone my decision, especially during COVID when things were just happening left, right, and center. Again, hindsight. I'm a very emotional person, right? And I think I made a few calls that I don't think respected his boundaries. This again upon hindsight, right? And I think he felt like I was trying to push him away from the business. But I said that was not my intention. I said, you know what, I want out. So okay, then we proceeded with that. So the rest of the story, I'll just save it.
Of course,
it does get a little bit sensitive. But you know what? For me, I'm okay with how things are panning out right now. The priorities he have in his life, even Wicked as well, have changed, right? And for me, I have changed in what I seek out in life as well. And I think that's where the differences come in. And I guess the advice or the sharing that I could put out is, make sure that there is a strong, I can't think of the word again, like a business contract, what do you call it?
Agreement,
partnership agreement, right? From day one, and talk about the hard stuff before the hard stuff gets here, because right now some of the problems I'm facing with the exit is that we didn't talk about how we want to exit, and that becomes very icky. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
I mean, first and foremost, I think thank you for
sharing,
the authenticity. For the sharing, because you see, sorry, entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and even within entrepreneurship itself, I think you put it so aptly that, people's priority change, people's things change, people's mindset change. And, sometimes what we find is that people from the outside third parties like to make judgmental opinions without actually understanding it. And I think somewhat this highlights the difficulties, because it could be just a miscommunication, misalignment.
Or bad tax,
it also could be
anything.
Yeah, and it could be just someone outgrowing each other. That's it. And it's not wrong. I think that's where why I'm putting this out is because a lot of times people see business disagreements as a bad thing. There's a fallout. People like the drama, but I mean, I don't know whether you agree with me or not.
Yeah,
People just like
do.
the drama for gossip, but people, do they really care? Are they really paying you for, running this business and all that? And I think, kudos to you and sharing this story, because I hope this could be a lesson to budding entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs actually struggling, because these are some of the challenges that entrepreneurship is actually very lonely. Sometimes it's very lonely.
You're right. Even when you have three partners, it was a lonely journey for me because they were my friends. They were my very, very best friends. And I felt a little bit upset or sad that I was slowly losing them and I didn't know what to do. Right? Because we see each other every day at work and we didn't, after that, why do I still want to hang out with you after? Although some partnerships are great at that, and I think that works out for everyone. So much so that I started forming outside friendship that allowed me to vent about my problems at work, right? With other entrepreneurs. If you see this little ad for EO Malaysia. So that was one of the group that I joined, Entrepreneurs Organization. And we were able to talk about our business challenges and problems and whatnot. My friend did ask me, hey, why don't you talk about your problems with your partners? But it's difficult. There are certain things that...
It's difficult. It's very difficult.
But what if they were the problem?
Yeah. And also, I think when you talk it out with your partners or whatever, it's always from their perspective, and there's definitely sometimes a miscommunication breakdown, because I just probably put it out there, like for me and MJ, he's 27, I'm 42 with kids and everything. What I see in life and what he sees in life is different. It's not to say it's wrong or right. It's just different.
Yeah.
Because the responsibility of me being a father, having two kids, a wife and I'm a single breadwinner, versus him, and I'm not saying this is a condescending manner. It's a matter of fact. It's like the burden of him to put food on the table is less compared to me. I'm not saying it's
No, that is the truth. And soon enough he'll find a wife and then we'll have a family, and that will shift as well. And now that you already know what those potential shifts will be, I hope you guys had the chat, right? To say, hey, look, in that current time, we hope the business to be at this point, right? And if it's not, what happens then, right?
Exactly. And that's because we left our previous employment also because it was
shared misery. Shared misery.
Yeah, shared misery. And the beauty of that, it taught us that we actually structured. We even brought in scenarios, and I was asking MJ, please don't marry someone that's okay. Yeah, I'll stop there, right? Right? And we put it into a partnership agreement because these are scenarios that has happened to us in real life. We see it firsthand.
Yep.
And we started this channel as some sort of a pet project because these are what people don't see in everyday entrepreneurs. They only see the pinnacle of success or the lulls of failure. But anyway, in between, it's usually undocumented. It's not truthfully told. I think that's the way I put it. Not truthfully told, and that told in a way that is not judgmental or not biased. And I thank you for triggering that in this MJ. Back to you, MJ.
Yeah. Look, I know you gotta go, and your time is precious, and thank you so much for your time. Just one last question.
Yes.
If today someone wanted to start a burger restaurant, apart from don't start because you might be my competitor, okay? What advice would you give?
Wow.
Take your time.
I would say come work for me. I would happily show you what I'm going through, make less mistakes than I have to go through, and make better mistakes, than what we have done. I think everyone's journey is going to be different. But since the question is so specific to say that if it's going to be a burger restaurant, go work with someone who runs a burger joint. In fact, be truthful about it. Honestly, if someone comes and tell me, hey, look, I want to open a burger joint, I'll say, hey, come join us. In fact, I'll convince you that why don't you just come and work with us and one day be a partner, right? It's not about the competition part because if you already want to go down that route, then you might be the right partner for me to scale this up together, right? But if you want to go in there hit strong and say, look, FIRL, well, you guys are doing okay, but it's not my style. I want to do different. Okay, fine. But still come and work for us, because at least know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And my role in the industry has always been to empower other people. Has there been a situation where people came in to work with us and quietly go and open burger joints? Yes, back in the days that happened, right? And I was peeved about it because they weren't truthful, right? Even when we went to visit their restaurants, right, their burger restaurants, they're like, oh yeah, I'm just here as a manager. But then in the newspaper, he's the boss.
Wow,
right? So I wasn't truthful about that. In fact,
Mm.
for people that told us that, oh, we're going to open a restaurant or we're going to what, I would happily share everything that I have, because I'm not afraid of you being a competition. You're going to do you, I'm going to do me, right? And if you are there to challenge me, it only gives me more opportunity to be better. That's how I see it. Right.
Yeah.
And in fact, we share our recipes openly.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Right?
true.
There's nothing to hide, because what I found online anyway. It's not like you're not going to find it sooner or later. So to me, it takes more than just a few recipes and whatnot. It's really the inner workings of the daily that makes the difference. And of course, the culture. I realize a lot of people come and talk to me and say, hey, Ren Yi, can you share about how you build your brand, your culture, all these values and whatnot. And after I've shared with them and I check in on them a couple months later, no one does what I've advised to do or what I've suggested to do, because it is a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
And not just that, it is a lot of work. It's also not within them. They are not aligned to my belief, right? They like the idea of having great culture and great values.
Yes.
But they don't know how to do it, or they are like, I don't know, I don't want to do the work to get there. I would like my organization to have it.
It's a choice, but the choice, it's a lot of work. And sometimes they know it, but that choice is not a decision they're willing to make.
Everyone knows what they need to do to be fit, basically, right?
Yes, I feel that.
Actually, sorry, that triggered another one question, one last question. And John, if you have one last, you can ask as well. Is there a competitor that you admire, actually? Is there one competitor where you're like, they make good burgers? And doesn't have to be seen as a competitor, maybe just a peer or whatever.
Competitor that I admire. Unfortunately, within the Malaysian landscape, direct competitors in burgers, right?
Yeah.
I don't have.
Nice.
No, not because I'm arrogant or I feel like they're not up to par. There are burgers that I enjoy. But as a whole, as a business, as a structure, I don't think anyone is doing what we're doing, which is, look, we are not a burger restaurant first.
Correct.
We see ourselves as a learning platform for young adults first, although we don't advertise this.
Right.
And that to me is more important than anything else, right? So if I have to compare, unless anyone is doing what we're doing, which is empowering young people to be better versions of themselves, then I don't think anyone is close to what we're doing.
I think that is very accurate. John, any more questions?
I think I'll ask this off the camera because it's something to do with the omakase.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna ask which is your favorite brunch. No, I just kidding.
There's two favoritism.
Yeah. So Ren Yi, thank you so much for being
pleasure
on the
to be here.
podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You were saying you're hoping that you're the first restaurateur here. You're hoping that you set the bar very low. I can assure you that the opposite has happened.
It's that high.
Thank you, guys.
And guys, those who are listening, guaranteed you got a lot of value out of this. And if you want to work for FIRL, right, we'll put the links in the description, right?
It's myburgerlab.com/join us.
Do we get like a HR cut for their salary?
Sure. If they work for 3 months, they don't bill on us. Sure, I'll give you 500 ringgit.
Nice. Hey, no problem. Guys, you like this type of content, do share it with your friends. Please visit FIRL. It is to me it's a Malaysia UNESCO heritage site. It's going to be that rather.
Thanks.
Right?
Yeah.
And guys, see you in the next pod. Like, comment, subscribe, the usual stuff. Watch some of our other pods and see you in the next one.